Down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Cloud Kingdom, we have our red Protoss player from MVPs. Won the last 2 games in a row, trying to make it 3. It is Vampire. His opponent here in the upper right-hand corner from Team Liquid, very strong Protoss player. Our blue Protoss player here in this set, it is Hero.
He's our blue Proton player.
Blue Proton.
Blue positively charged particle.
Correct.
Yes. Anyway, we do have a pylon, a lovely pylon from each player actually being built at the same time. This PvP could actually be mirrored for a short while. We'll see, obviously, where paths diverge. Sometimes it's after the Cybernetics core, but sometimes on a map like this, someone may want to take a quick Nexus, but probably going to be safe and do the gateway openings for both of them.
Okay, well, we'll see what they do. Hero can be crafty in PvP sometimes. I haven't watched a ton of PvP from him lately, though. And I know the PvP game has been shifting quite a bit. Players are usually going towards a little bit longer expand builds. But choosing Cloud Kingdom makes me think that he doesn't want to be all that expandness stuff passively thing. Because obviously there's a lot of cliff line you can abuse here, so Blink Stalkers are always a threat. And just even, you know, if this does start to get towards the later game, it's not going to go beyond a couple of bases just because of how easy this space is to exploit. So my prediction, that's all I have to found it on, is that Hero is going to play a little bit longer game, but maybe he won't. We'll find out.
Well, we have
or a little bit shorter game. I'm sorry,
gotcha.
More aggressive.
Vampire is actually adding on a second gas, so maybe Vampire is still looking to do, you know, more robo facility more than Hero. I'm not sure, actually. We'll have to see again as this kind of unfolds. That second gas is obviously going to give Vampire a couple more options tech-wise. Only 3 Harvesters total, though. On the, or did he just put in another
4.
one? Yeah.
There's
okay,
4.
So 4 total for Vampire on across 2 gas. So Cybernetics core is coming out for both players. Probe's still right on time for everybody. I don't believe anyone's saving Chrono Boost. Oh no, actually, Vampire is going to save some Chrono Boost probably for that Warp Gate tech.
So, of course, Vampire going for double gas with 2 workers in each gas is something we've been seeing lately. Huck used it exclusively in like every PvP he's played in our circuit recently. So it does offer you a lot of flexibility because just going for 2 in each gas lets you hit a very specific timing with a couple extra sentries or something along those lines. But then on top of that, it offers you the flexibility of having already invested in your gas. You can drop more workers on it right away if you want to play very reactionary or see something out of your opponent that necessitates you getting up in tech very quickly. That's
right. And, I mean, Huck actually, since you mention him, is, you know, he's already earned a spot at IPL 5. So, and now that we're mentioning him again, he also was one of the poll winners, one of those top 16 from the North America and rest of world, to be able to play in the GSL World Championship with the World All-Stars team. He's just got to get through that 16-man bracket to the top 2 to get an invite to that team, along with Sen, who we mentioned earlier, and Sheth.
Yes.
And obviously 9 others. Or no, a lot more others, 13 others.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good players in there as well. Scarlet, I believe, took 2nd in the popular vote, so you will certainly see her and see what she can do in the tournament. So,
Idra, Huck, Vibe, Major, Moonglade, Pig, lots of others that you would expect. But actually, one that was kind of surprising to me was Dodoro getting very few votes. He's one of those players that always gets really far in North American events and just doesn't have the fan base, unfortunately. Yeah, well, maybe we'll still see him at an event in the near future. Vampire looks like he is going to go ahead and not just put up Blink, but also Robotics Facility. Of course, like I mentioned before, Blink Stalkers are so powerful here. Part of that reason is the cliff lines. You can either get a unit up there to give yourself vision or just make an observer. It's a little bit of a cost to be able to make it up to that point, but you can do a lot of damage once you finally start to work your way in. Hero, of course, though, he's saving the cost of the Robotics Facility, and that's going to give him a temporary boost in overall units. Vampire thinking about going right around the back, though. He's dropped down a forward pylon very close to Hero's base. Yeah, and there is some cliff line near where that pylon was dropped that he can abuse with Blink and a nice observer. It looks like Hero is finally going to add on his Robotics Facility, but it's going to be a battle of Blinks. Obviously, a little bit of a ground war here before those observers can actually get flying around anyway. So we'll see. Oh, actually, is this a fourth? Third gateway. Only a third gateway for Hero, but Vampire's adding 2 more. Yeah, you're right. So this is going to be 4-gate Blink. And with those observers coming out of the Robotics Facility, it's a huge resource investment off of one base. So we'll see what Vampire is able to do. But Hero's
Units are coming along a little bit slower because he's invested, like I said, in less infrastructure. In the long term, it'll hurt, but in the short term, he'll have more units to make up for it. And we'll see if that's the moment that he can start to do damage, because if Vampire's able to delay or get a better engagement than him, he'll have a lot better game moving forward.
Interesting that all those Stalkers from Hero were way down in the bottom right corner base. I'm not sure what was up with that. Blink forward. He's going to try and defend this pylon, but obviously he sees very quickly that he's going to be outnumbered, and he's going to lose a Stalker for it. He's going to rejoin. Vampire actually could have pursued there and eventually blinked forward again to dump some more damage, so I'm actually a little surprised that he didn't, especially if he was able to get 1 or 2 more Stalkers on the run like that. He could have used that warp-in at the forward pylon and been in a really, really good position, but Hero's a little bit split up and a little bit lower forces at the moment.
Hero's just completely changed his mind as to what he wants to do. When he saw, oh, he does manage to get the Observer, and that's actually going to be very useful for him because Vampire just wanted to get in with as many Blink Stalkers as he could and make his way up into the main. So even though Hero's losing some forces here, though that almost was very disastrous for him, he decided to play defensive. He wasn't thinking about that before, but now he is because he has the Immortal in play. He saw how many units his opponent had. Oh, and Vampire blinks right on top of this. And Hero, man, what does he have to defend? He's got another Immortal coming out here in a second. It looks like he will finally force away his opponent for a little while with the Zealots. Yeah,
Vampire did not want to have these Stalkers under fire by the Zealots and Sentry. The Zealots specifically were doing more damage than he thought he could bear there. He did a warp in, or he's actually in the process of warping in at that left pylon just left of Hero's base, but he's going to regroup and actually I mean, he has to actually wait for this. Yeah, exactly. He's got to attack the front if he's going to continue this at all. Otherwise, he's got to wait for that Observer. I was really surprised that Hero dropped that force field so late and allowed that blink up. And I'm actually equally surprised that Vampire didn't just, rather than blinking down and doing a warp in to join his forces, he just sorry, what did I just say? I thought Vampire would move toward the mineral line and then use a warp in to join his forces in Hero's base. Instead, he blinked back down away from those Zealots when he could have just ran around, I think, in Hero's base a while longer.
Doesn't like the neutral supply depot, but no, Hero's not in that bad of a spot, though. He's got a second Immortal that just popped up. He's got pretty good vision of his opponent as well. So even though he was planning to be aggressive and decided to go defensive whenever he saw how many forces that Vampire had out, he's recovered very nicely. And he's been sitting on more workers the whole time. That was actually 30 to 24 until just a second ago, because Vampire had cut at 24 probes exactly to do as much attacking as possible. And so Hero has the better overall economy. He's got more forces out on the map now. He's got better forces, honestly. So Vampire has maneuverability on his side with being able to blink up. But I really like Hero's position.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how every single little decision makes a difference. Obviously, that blink forward was another big one.
Killed the Observer again, too.
And killed the Observer, yeah. So that's 2 thus far, shooter. But we have another Nexus coming up actually for each player, both of them taking their naturals here to try and continue this assault.
Should have done that. I'll just be non-stop Happy Gilmore quotes throughout the whole day, so this is bad now. This is bad. Yeah, and you can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot. Okay. Yep. Woo! All right, so anyway, we got a game. And Hero makes his way away with the Blink Stalkers. Can't really do too much damage right now. Has Vampire reproduced an Observer? Because if he hasn't, then that would actually allow Hero to jump in and do what Vampire was planning to do basically the entire time, which is jump in with small groups of Blink Stalkers and try and pick off pylons, tech structures, things like that.
And he would just use his Immortals, Sentries, and Zealots on the low ground to try and, you know, perhaps bust up the front a little bit, but actually what's happening is Hero just leaving all his non-blinking units back at home just in case Vampire were to show up with a gaggle of Stalkers. But here we go. Vampire actually moving away from this. I don't think he's actually seen it, though. There's no red dots anywhere on the minimap that would have given him any vision. So Hero had an opening there, actually.
Yes, he did. He didn't know it. He didn't know where his forces were, but that actually would have been disastrous for Vampire had Hero blinked in at that specific moment. And he's going to lose a couple of forces here. That's unfortunate for him. He'll try and pick off a couple of Stalkers in return, but that's actually a pretty good win for Vampire there.
That's right. Hero still obviously very, very close in supply, but that was nice by Vampire. I think it's kind of interesting. Has neither side invested in upgrades at all. It looks like they're just purely playing for that positional game, trying to get more warp-ins than their opponent. Hero's actually in a really good position right now, especially with this Warp Prism full of Immortals.
Oh, wow. And look at this. Vampires across the map. Is he just going to base trade, or is he going to make his way back to his own base? Because whenever you're base trading like this, you want to be the guy who takes the first couple of shots, because you can react a little bit better back at home. And as we can see, Vampires already across the map. We are in full base trade mode.
Cybernetics core, one of the first things that Hero took out, so that any forward pylon the Vampire has, he's not going to be able to warp in Stalkers. That is a massive, massive difference between these two players. There's still that Cybernetics core standing for Hero, obviously, so he can use the money he's got saved. It looks like Vampire is blocked now anyway, even trying to make that Immortal. He can't. He's running all his probes eventually to try and build a Nexus over at Hero's base. That is a key difference. Hero does not have 400 minerals to be doing that himself, to place a Nexus himself.
And only 3 probes, so this is going to come right down to the wire. Looks like Hero does have a, does he have a bit of an advantage in terms of an army? He has 23 Stalkers to 13,
oh, yes.
But he is down in Immortal, and he's down all of the Zealots as well. So the army's a little bit better for Vampire for now, but this is going to come down to who can make a structure across the map, it appears. Wait, has there been a pylon put down for Vampire at all?
I don't know what he's doing. He dropped a Nexus, though. He dropped a Nexus and he goes natural. Either way, I would argue... yeah, for Hero, yeah. I would argue that Hero's army is better here because he has 10 more Blink Stalkers, and those things can last forever if you micro them well enough.
The army is better, but now he's revealed, and this is his only structure. It's only the single pylon built here across the map. Maybe he can put down another one in a second. I think he can. Yeah, he has another 100 minerals, so he'll be able to put down 2, and he's obviously going to drop them way across the map. But Vampire, these are his last structures as well, so he needs to sit back. Hero did not lose these up at the top, though, which is a little surprising.
So Vampire can't leave at this point to finish off those buildings, so even if he did find that pylon across the map, there's actually, I think, another pylon at the mineral line across the map, so Hero actually has a couple of holdouts. No, actually, it's just a probe, but he has enough for an assimilator, yeah.
Right.
So so he is just holding out on that, as the probe is not revealed, right? It's just the buildings.
Correct, it's just the buildings.
So he is saving, and that's a brilliant idea, because he's, you don't have to build that assimilator yet, then there's no reason to. The only risk is, obviously, if Vampire did have a couple of Stalkers and blinked onto it really fast and tried to kill it, and Hero didn't react fast enough to build a new building, that would just be terrible. Look at this Forge coming up, so he's actually going to start building cannons with the income that he has so that he can have time to get more pylons back up.
Yeah, but it looks like Hero's just going to cycle around the side here, and he will eventually get on this even ground that he was looking to before. Hero keeping those Immortals inside of the Warp Prism as well, so we can get a bit better position on him. Throws down the Guardian Shield, and I think he's going to go for this. This Forge is taking quite a bit of damage, though, so it should be pretty easy to snipe down here in a second. Oh, he gets off the first couple of shots into the Immortal, and we know how good Hero's Warp Prism micro can be in picking up units, so that's what he's going to use to his effect. And he has already evened the count of Immortals here with the additional Blink Stalkers we were talking about before. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, you've definitely got a good point with that Warp Prism micro on the Immortals specifically. We've seen Hero, protect Immortals for so long with that pick up and drop micro. But look at that, another Immortal sniped, and the force field actually being a huge part of this. That sentry does go down. Actually, no sentries remaining on either side, but look at this. Vampire really has not a lot left after losing those 2 Immortals. That was huge.
Yeah, I mean, after the 2 Immortals go down, he's down an Immortal, he's down 15 Blink Stalkers, and of course now he has to pull his probes off of the line as well. And Hero is crashing through the front line forces here. Even with the photon cannons coming up, that is not going to be near enough damage here. And Vampire, after all of that, loses the game. Hero ties things up 2-2.
Very, very cool cool ending to that PvP when it looked like Hero was losing little engagements,